I'm Joel Anderson, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the campus that I get to serve as Chancellor. When Dr. Charles Hathaway was serving as Chancellor of the University of Arkansas at Little Rock, and I was Provost and Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, on more than one occasion he called me into his office and said to me approximately the following: Joel, we are a metropolitan university and our community is calling. We need to try to help address this controversial issue. And in one instance, it was the Little Rock School District. In another one, it was water, with Little Rock and North Little Rock both threatening litigation against each other. But anyway, he continued the conversation like this. I think you should chair a faculty task force to study this issue and provide the community good information and well-based recommendations. Now, you understand that you will not receive any reduction in your regular responsibilities, nor will you get any extra pay. In addition, if you do a good job, you will make many of your friends mad at you. And of course, I always said yes to such attractive assignments. Now, some 9 months ago, I asked former Chancellor to meet with me in my office, and I said to him approximately the following: Chuck, UALR is a metropolitan university, and our community is calling. We need to help address the jail and public safety controversies. I think you should chair a faculty task force to study it and provide the community with good information and well-based recommendations. Now, you understand you will not receive any reduction in your regular responsibilities, nor will you get any extra pay. In addition, if you do a good job, you will make many of your friends mad at you. And of course, he said yes to such an attractive assignment. We all want safe neighborhoods and streets and places of work, but for a number of years here in Pulaski County, we've lacked broad agreement on the nature, the scope, and the proper solutions to the crime and safety problems we face. Public safety is a community problem. The University of Arkansas at Little Rock cannot solve community problems. Community problems require community solutions. Yet the university is a part of the community and can play a role, and this university is willing to do so. The university, with its collection of experts and numerous academic disciplines, can conduct research and can provide good information and recommendations, which can then be a credible basis for achieving agreement and moving ahead. With the release of this report today, I am hopeful that the leaders in all the communities in Pulaski County will find that they have a credible tool from a neutral source that they can use in building an agreed-upon strategy for making Pulaski County a safer and better place to live. What happens next is up to those leaders. Let me conclude by expressing my deep appreciation to Dr. Hathaway and the members of the task force for accepting this challenging assignment and for their good work, and some of them are seated here with him today. I am proud of their product. The word I would use to describe their report is meaty, and you will agree with that adjective once you've had the opportunity to spend time with the report. And I appreciate all the time and the energy they have invested in service to our metropolitan community. And I know that these projects always turn out to be much bigger and more time-consuming than anyone assumes on the front end. Having said all of that, now let me ask Dr. Hathaway to introduce the report.
Thank you, Joel. As a child of the South, I understand the term beholden. If you've been raised in the South, you may know that term too, and so I found myself beholden to Joel. I'll make a few comments. I've been asked the last couple of days some strange questions. Who paid for the report? Who asked for it to be done? In truth, the university was asked to look at this or similar situation as long ago as 6 years, and we declined at that time. This time we did not. So it was a large number of different people that came to Joel and suggested this. I have to tell you that the people whom we went to ask for data were wonderful. The police departments, the deputies, sheriff's office, treasurer's office, wherever we went, we got complete cooperation. Now, this is the web page. Are there some mistakes in here? Here's the way to do that. Throw it open, close your eyes, and go like that, and you'll probably find a typo. But there are some mistakes in the printed report that we know about, and we'll be correcting those on the web page. So if you find a mistake, please let us know. What the report has is, in part one, talks about the jail as a component within the criminal justice system. It turns out to be a very critical component, much more important than I realized. If you're like me, you just don't pay much attention and you assume somebody's taking care of your safety. There's a brief overview of recent crime. That was dated the day it was written. And the problem is we wanted to use standardized data, so that means we would use the Arkansas Criminal Information System and we'd use FBI. And if you go and look, you're not going to find any 2006 data yet. There's one piece of FBI data up now, but only one piece. So that's dated. Part 3 discusses very briefly the role of prevention, intervention, and treatment. You can't keep building bigger and bigger jails and warehousing people. There's got to be some work done to try to stem this tide. Part 4 relates to the interviews we had, some 37 interviews, and then a extensive telephone survey of citizens in the county. Part 5 is the history of the interaction of the county and the cities, and that's in outline form in your printed material. It will be in narrative form, much more extensive, on the web page. Part 6, how do we arrive at the current situation? It's a difficult chapter, and it makes it very simple that it really starts with the loss of tax revenue after the census in the year 2000 and the difficulty that the quorum court had in realizing that and almost for a long period denying it. Part 7, what is an appropriate sized jail? We struggled with this. Can you determine what's an appropriate sized jail? Part 8, what is the operational cost of the jail? And Part 9, who should pay for the jail? If you haven't figured it out, citizens pay for the jail, one way or another. Unfortunately, the county and the cities get into arguments as who's going to pay for it. They forget they're tapping the pocketbooks of the citizens when they get into those arguments. Part 10 is a proposal with recommendations. So let me go through the report. Now, I'm going to try to hold this to 20 minutes because Angela Parker, who's sitting in the back of the room, reminded me this morning that Mark Twain said nobody was ever saved by a sermon that goes more than 20 minutes. So, ready. I'm not going to introduce all the members. It's in the printed report. Now, out of date. The data here is out of date. The situation has gotten much, much more serious and will get even more serious. When you close a jail, you have put a choke point in the criminal justice system. You probably saw this in the newspaper last week. Robbery's up 60%. Please understand, a robbery is so much more serious than a burglary. And the lay public doesn't understand. I wish maybe the newspaper article had pointed out the seriousness of robberies. In robberies, you're that far from something much, much more serious, including murder. In a burglary, a person is robbing something from a house or someplace where there's no people. This involves people. This is the first step to a horrible decline in this community.